Hey everyone, it's your girl Ellie, and thank you for tuning into my channel, Visually Ellie. Like always, I'm so excited for today's episode. It's going to be a really good one because today I have my good friend, Isaac Molina. So Isaac, thank you so much for coming in and joining me. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your creative journey?
For sure. I am, in short, just a fan of film in general. Not necessarily just comic films, not necessarily a specific genre. I am a fan of stories. So what I look at is how are characters portrayed, how are characters, on their journey, how they go after their goals, and everything to do with the stories, how it comes together. I'm a fan of story in the medium of film. So
That's what's up. And aren't you writing something yourself?
I am. I wrote a script. It's titled The Last Guardian, copywritten and everything. So and I'm also working with a writing partner to do its sequel, and also that same writing partner I'm writing with for his own movie as well. So we're excited about that prospect, but yeah. So
And it got approved, your screenwriting, right?
My screenplay was submitted to Screencraft. So Screencraft is a company that they rate screenplays based off of a series of line items like the story, like character building, like world building, and even like down to the voice. And so I got a 9.1 altogether out of 10. And so right now it's just a matter of marketing it to the right people to get it to the right hands, and then hopefully it gets bought, hopefully it gets made, and hopefully it turns out good.
So it's gonna turn out amazing. What? You already got scored 9.1, so that tells you a lot. But I'm excited to have you on today, not only because we've been friends for 11, 12 years, I don't know how long.
A decade plus.
A decade plus, but you and your wife, shout out to Chelsea, have always supported me in my creative journey, whether it be my photography, whether it be these videos. And not only that, I feel like me and you, when it comes to movies and TV shows, we have very similar taste. We have what I call bougie taste. We don't just accept anything.
Right.
So I'm excited and intrigued to hear your opinion on today's episode. So hopefully you don't disappoint me. No. I'm joking. So today, we are going to be talking about the lifelong question. Who is the best Spider-Man / Peter Parker?
Yes.
So over the week, we at least tried to watch all of the Spider-Man. Shout out to my friend Joelle, a.k.a. Jay Parker, for letting us watch all 7 of the Spider-Man movies. You're amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, for real. So, okay, Isaac, we're going to start with Peter Parker.
I think each of them were good within the worlds that they were in. So Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, I don't think would have been a good fit for the MCU. And I don't think he would have been a good fit in the Andrew Garfield films. And vice versa. I don't think Andrew Garfield would have fit well within the universe of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Even though they're all in New York, it's 3 totally different New Yorks.
Yep.
With all the characters being totally different. Peter, I feel that specifically Peter, not Spider-Man, in costume. Peter, my favorite is the Tobey Maguire one, because he sort of embodies this nerdy, personification throughout all 3 films.
Okay.
And anything different is awkward. Everything he does is awkward. No matter what happens to him, it's like he takes 2 steps forwards and 20 steps back. And so Tobey Maguire does that well. Andrew Garfield is not a good Peter Parker. He is not a good Peter Parker. He is a cool Peter Parker. The exact opposite. I feel like if I am going to try to empathize with a Peter Parker, it would not be Andrew Garfield, who is skateboarding in the hallway, even after he was told not to. You know, he had this sort of hipster vibe type of thing. Nothing wrong with it, but it didn't feel like Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire, I just felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Even when he became Spider-Man, I felt bad for him. He was always late. He gets fired from the the pizza shop. You know, he's going after a girl that doesn't realize that, you know, he likes her, and, you know, and he's trying to protect her, so he can't tell her that I love you. And everything is just like, everything happens to him, and he doesn't know how to respond. I empathize with that.
Okay.
Tom Holland, I feel like he's a close second.
Okay.
As a Peter Parker, because he seems like your traditional high school student.
Yeah.
He seems like the everyday high school student. He doesn't seem like the nerdy guy that's going to get picked on all the time. But he would be more of an embodiment of like what the Miles story, that anyone can wear the mask. So Tom Holland's Peter Parker was like kind of like that. Like I can see myself in him.
Yeah.
And I think many others can too.
That's good. That's good. I absolutely agree with everything you said. Like you said, Andrew is just way too cool. He's seen. Like, people know he's a photographer. You know, people are like, hey, even though they're asking for their personal favors. Like, I remember one girl in the first movie, she was like, hey, don't you take photography? Are you a photographer? Can you take pictures of my, boyfriend's car? So he's known, he's popular. Well, I'm not going to say he's popular, excuse me, but he's known. Like, he's seen. Whereas Tobey's Spider-Man, completely invisible to the point he's literally getting stepped on. He's literally... It's so funny.
Literally, he's like invisible.
He's invisible. So, like you, I can empathize with Tobey, who's just trying to get through life. You know, he's trying to find his place in the world. He allows his best friend Harry to date the girl that he loves because, like Harry said, hey, you didn't speak up. So I definitely agree that Tobey would be the best Peter Parker. But can I say, well, let me go to Tom Holland. Tom Holland, I love how you put it, that just like in the Miles Morales story, like anyone could wear the mask. I feel like Tom Holland was that, like, you know, just another kid that could wear the mask, so that I feel like anyone could wear the mask and be, you know, Spider-Man, whatever. Tom Holland, to me, I feel like he's overhyped.
Okay.
I think he's a great actor, don't get me wrong. I love the Marvel Spider-Mans.
He's making the money right now.
He's making the money. He is making the money. You know, he does look younger than the rest, you know. I think that was my only pet peeve with the last two. Like Peter, he doesn't look like a high school student to me.
He looks like a grown man.
He looks like a grown, and there's actually...
Everyone looked like a grown
man, yeah.
Like grown man, grown woman. You know, y'all are not in high school. Y'all are going for your masters.
Yeah, and there's a meme, and I'm going to add it. There's a meme that basically said, which comes from the first Spider-Man, that says when he was in the train, when he saved the train at the end, and one of the passengers was like, he's just a boy, no younger than my son. Yeah. But in the meme, it's Tom Holland that they see.
Oh,
and in the next one, the next, whatever you call it, the strip, another passenger, which they added it for the sake of the meme, was like, yeah, the last Spider-Man was 30 years old or something like that, and it had the face of Tobey.
Yes.
So that was my only issue. The only reason I would like Tom Holland as Peter Parker is because even though he's not a teenager, he was in his 20s, I think, maybe 20 or 21 when he did Spider-Man.
Right.
He looks young.
He looks very young.
His best friend.
I think he's like 25 right now.
Yeah, he's 25 right now. Yeah. So, like, all of them looked young. So I was like, okay, it feels high schoolish to me. And the theme felt high schoolish, you know, Spider-Man. So, back to Tobey's, yeah, I have to also say the first Spider-Man, like Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sam Raimi, I don't like those movies.
You don't?
I don't like them.
Okay.
I don't like them. So when I love the villains.
Okay.
they had the best villains out of all the 7. Sam Raimi's villains of the Green Goblin and Dr. Ock, phenomenal.
Yes.
But will I watch Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 again? Like, if it was on TV, I'm not gonna watch it.
Right.
Like, it's boring to me. That's just me. That's my opinion.
Okay.
It's boring. I had to watch it again. You guys know I watched the movies before I shoot the video, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me? This is horrible."
What was your worst take on, like, what was it that like really made you feel like you did not like him?
So I'm comparing it to all 7, like in totality.
Okay.
I felt no connection. Like, I felt bad for, Toby as Peter Parker, like he's not seen, but I like to feel some kind of emotional connection, whether that be excitement, like whether that like, oh man, I can't believe that happened. Like, of course, Ben dying, like Peter Parker's uncle dying. Yeah, I felt bad.
Which I felt like was like Sam Raimi's portrayal of Uncle Ben dying was the best.
The best. Okay, yeah, I do agree with that. Yes. So, but other than that, outside of Ben dying, there was no connection for me. Like him and like, whoa, it was just dry. In my opinion, it was dry. Now compared to what is his name? Who directed Amazing Spider-Man? Something Webb.
Mark Webb.
Thank you.
Yes.
So with Amazing Spider-Man, I literally can watch that over and over and over and over again. Yes.
Really?
Andrew was Mr. Cool Guy. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But I felt for Electro. He was invisible and he just wanted somebody to... he just wanted to be seen so badly. I felt for him.
Okay.
I felt for Andrew, just throughout the whole movie. Like, even though he was, kind of Mr. Cool Guy, you could still see that he's still trying to figure out life for himself.
Yeah.
And when Gwen Stacy died, I cried more than I cried when Uncle Ben died.
Did you cry again?
I cried again. I cried again. Every time I see that movie, I cry when Gwen Stacy dies.
Right.
So, and then I feel like visually, it was way better, obviously, than, Sam's Spider-Man. Like, visually, it was beautiful. Like, I don't know. I just feel the most connected with the Amazing Spider-Man. That's just me. Now, Tom Holland, obviously, it's like, visually, it's insane.
Yeah.
I could watch it just visually. Like, it's insane. It's amazing.
Took advantage of all the advancements in technology. Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like it's more of the, I guess, comical, like, compared to the other Spider-Mans, I feel like it's the most comical one, even though if it's not purposely trying to be comical. I don't feel any emotional connection to that one either.
Okay, of the Tom Holland ones?
Of the Tom Holland, because they skipped the Ben, which I'm glad they did. They skipped over the Ben, I think the only emotional connection I felt was, I think it was the first Spider-Man, the Homecoming, when actually there was two scenes, when he felt like he was like a disappointment to Iron Man because he felt like he was doing things incorrectly with the Vulture. So
that was the Homecoming.
Yep. So I could relate to him. Like, he just felt like he's doing everything incorrectly. Iron Man always has to come to save him. And I honestly felt like he was too much in Iron Man's shadow with the with the Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
But anyway, I feel like I'm rambling. All that to say, The Amazing Spider-Man, to me, is the best.
Okay.
To me. But the Peter Parker, I would love if they made Andrew Garfield more nerdy and geeky and stuff like that. But like you said in the very beginning, because I was thinking about that when I was watching the movies, this is a perfect multiverse because Tobey's Peter Parker is perfect for that.
Yes.
For that New York, for that Queens, for, that Spider-Man movie. And I was even thinking about, like, if you mix match people, like, if you had, what's his name? William Dafoe.
Yes.
As the Green Goblin in The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, that wouldn't do well. If you had Emma Watson, Emma Stone as Gwen, I can't see her as Gwen in Spider-Man 3 when they introduced Gwen. Like, so...
Well, I did not like Gwen in Spider-Man 3 at all.
I hated.
I felt like it was forced.
It was so forced.
Super forced. In fact, I mean, like, the whole movie felt forced. Spider-Man 3.
It was trash.
Yeah.
I did watch it again. Originally, I told you, like, I skipped over it. I was like, you know what? Let me just watch it. And I cried.
So many cringe-worthy
It was
moments.
so horrible.
There are some highlights that I have in Spider-Man 3. Even though I don't like the movie, there are things in the movie that I do like. I feel like the potential for that movie would have been way higher if we focused on the relationship between Peter and Harry. That right there is Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
That right there is Spider-Man 3. No focus on Sandman. No focus on Venom. Especially since there was a cliffhanger with Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I felt like Spider-Man 3 was a lost opportunity for Harry Osborn. I do like his redemption.
Yeah.
But as a whole, the movie itself was just the whole movie itself was a lost opportunity. I felt like there was a lot of fillers, especially with the whole breakup with Mary Jane and Peter. I felt like everything about Harry was amazing. I did not like the memory loss. Did not like that at all.
Yeah.
I felt like just remove that and focus on the psychological trauma that Harry could do to Peter, like he did with manipulating the relationship between Mary Jane and Peter. That was amazing psychological trauma.
Yeah.
And then the physical trauma, because he has the same stuff that his father made, and he's able to fight him and beat him up and, almost killing him.
Yeah.
That right there was probably 15 minutes of the whole movie, and it was like that could have been a whole movie itself.
Yeah, I agree.
And the rest of the film was cringeworthy. And there was many times I had to look down on my phone because I did not know where to look. You know how when you feel awkward when two of your friends are fighting or something, or their parents is beating them up because they did something wrong. You don't know what to do. I don't know where to look. That's how I felt watching Spider-Man 3. I was looking down, especially with the whole dance sequence between Peter and Gwen and him doing the hip thrust thing, and it was just come on. There's no way that somebody came up with this and said, yes, this is a film.
Venom and Carnage are my absolute favorite villains, and at least specifically for Spider-Man.
Right.
No, I think in the Marvel, I think Venom and Carnage are my absolute favorite villains. I may have to think about that. I may be forgetting some people, but I was disappointed when I very first saw Spider-Man 3 because Venom was going to be in it. I was beyond excited, and then after that film was done, I was like, what just happened? What was that? Are you kidding me? I don't know how they dropped the ball that hard.
Right.
And I honestly think the Tobey Spider-Man's movies are just nostalgic sake. People love Tobey as Spider-Man.
There are some iconic images though.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So in all three films.
Okay.
Yes, the CGI is not. It is outdated. CGI is outdated.
Yeah,
but
it was made in 2002, right?
It was.
Okay.
It was actually really good for the time.
Yeah. I have to remember that.
But when he is swinging, there are some moments where they slow down and you just have the traditional Hollywood moments.
Yep.
You have the trailer moments. Those when I think Spider-Man in my mind, I think of those moments.
Okay, I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that I am gonna contradict you a bit from my opinion with the Amazing Spider-Man films. I did like some of the swinging with the swinging with Andrew Garfield's, but I enjoyed the swinging a bit more with the Tobey Maguire films.
Okay.
And Tom Holland films, ironically, don't have swinging moments much.
We keep forgetting about Tom Holland.
Yeah, it's true, and he's the one that has a movie coming out. Right? Holland Spider-Man, his Spider-Man is really for the most part, they dedicate the time in specific scenes rather than having the swinging moments. And I think that's what makes, for me at least, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man's iconic is those swinging, is like he focuses on those things, and it is nostalgic.
Yeah,
it is because I remember watching it when I was like 11 or 12.
Yeah, for sure.
And just being amazed.
Yeah, but when you watched it again, did you feel that same amazement? Be honest.
Less amazement, more nostalgic.
Okay.
But like still appreciative. Like I didn't feel like this was the worst thing at all. Okay. I felt like I appreciate what I'm seeing in the past few days with the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans and the swingings. I felt like there were moments in the swinging where like ooh, you know. But there's also moments in the swinging where I'm just like, man, that's cool. Yeah.
In my opinion, I feel like a lot of people criticize Andrew Garfield way too harshly. Like people, that movie does not deserve the criticism that it still to this day gets.
Which one? Which movie specifically? Is it
both of them? Both of them? Yeah, both of them. From, whenever people talk about like Spider-Man, Peter Parker, they really criticize Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man, and I do not think it deserves that criticism at all. I don't know if you have any criticism about that, but before we go on to that, do you think if Andrew or Tom? Because I really do think. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, I do appreciate it. I really do, it was the first to come out and all of that stuff. But when I watch it, I don't feel the same amazement that I did when I first seen it. Once again, the villains, phenomenal. Yes. I'm a villain person. I love the villains over the heroes. That's another episode. I think a lot
of people do and they don't realize it.
Oh, since I was a child, I knew I loved villains more than the heroes.
Villains make up the story.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But yes, all that to say, outside of the villains, let's remove the villains for a second for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Without the villains, the storyline is not the greatest. In my opinion, the storyline is not the greatest. His chemistry with Mary Jane, like I just don't feel any connection with the characters. Yeah. Like there's not the chemistry. It lacks. I feel like Andrew Garfield and Emma,
their chemistry was amazing.
Stone, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think also because they were dating in real life at the time.
Well, there you go. But that chemistry, I'm glad they were dating in real life.
Yeah.
Because that chemistry, I was just like, oh my gosh.
So I think that, because there's a lot to unpack there. With the original 3 Sam Raimi films, I like to call them less of an action movie and more of a drama.
Yes, I agree.
And
100%.
And then like with Peter Parker, with Tobey's Peter Parker, he's more of like just playing the role of Peter Parker that's wearing the Spider-Man costume and he doesn't become Spider-Man. Yeah. He's just Peter Parker wearing a costume is what it feels like. Yeah. And when you talk about the chemistry between Mary Jane, I
don't like Kristen Dunst.
I don't think it was her.
I don't know.
I don't think it was her. I think it was writing. Because Mary Jane, the character, was horrible in the Sam Raimi films. Yes. I mean, she's dating Flash, who was a horrible person. Yeah. And then later on, she breaks up with Flash for Harry, and then as she's dating Harry, she kisses Spider-Man. Yep. Right? And she's fishing for Peter Parker as she's dating for Harry. Yeah. And then in the second film, you have her, basically about to get married. She's engaged. She's about to get married, and she's still kisses Peter Parker, or still kisses Spider-Man. She's trying to fish for Peter Parker. And then she runs away at the altar for Spider-Man. She really did, she was really a horrible person.
She was.
So, that being said, with Gwen Stacy in the Andrew Garfield films with Emma Stone, their chemistry was just amazing.
Amazing.
I didn't feel like I did not like her. I felt like it was very natural, not forced or anything. And the reason why I think the reason why I liked the Sam Raimi films is because it was a drama. It was treated as a drama. Got you. With horror elements inserted into the films. And whereas the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I especially after watching both of them last night, I felt as if like there was a lot that was in it that could have been done without. That would have made the movie better. Literally just by deleting scenes.
Like what? Like what scenes?
The whole story thread of Peter trying to find his parents.
I got you. I got you.
I get that, like, for the most part, like, that's what led him to Dr. Connor's building to get bit by the spider. But even that whole sequence was weird for me. It was weird for me because I'm like, okay, he breaks in so that he can talk to Dr. Connors. Dr. Connors is there, he introduces himself, and then Peter walks away, sneaks away to follow a random guy that he bumped into, and then he types in a code. And then he goes into, like, why are you doing that?
I got
Logically,
you.
Why are you doing that?
I got you.
That makes no sense. Dr. Connors is over here. That's the person you want to talk to about your parents. So for me, like, I almost felt like he injected himself into a specific narrative. Okay. That story thread felt forced. You know what I'm saying? So, like I think that the curiosity is okay, but it just didn't feel like it fit well.
So, would you say the Amazing Spider-Man? Well, you know what? Let's move on because I feel bad for Tom Holland. We talking about Tom Holland. Your thoughts on Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and then we're gonna move on to who's the best Spider-Man.
Right. My thoughts on Tom Holland's Peter Parker. I said for the most part what I thought earlier. I think that he is an amazing everyday guy.
And what do you think about the movie as a whole?
Which one? Both of them?
Both of them, yeah.
I love Homecoming. I do. I love that especially when we're talking about the story threads in the MCU. Yeah. I loved that the villain was not this world domineering villain, not trying to destroy the city. He's literally just trying to feed his family. And so I think they treated the Vulture well, and some of the other characters there, they treated them well. And Peter had high school issues. He had high school issues. It wasn't about like Tobey Maguire trying to go after Mary Jane and like talking to himself as he's following her is weird. But it was literal high school issues. He has a best friend in Ned who I love his character.
Yeah, me too.
And getting invited to a party is like, oh, this is cool, and it's just like so for me I felt like this would have happened. If there's any Spider-Man that would happen in real life in high school, this would have happened in Homecoming.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
And then I watched Far From Home. The first time I seen it in theaters, I was a little bit disappointed. But when I watched it recently again, I enjoyed it a bit more than I did the first time. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. He's an amazing actor altogether. But he did an amazing job with the character. I enjoyed it because it was fun. I did not like the Edith classes.
Yeah, I get that.
Plot point.
Why?
Super plot point. It's just you can tell it's plot.
Yeah.
I felt as if like they used it as kind of like an excuse sometimes for delivering information in the script, at like he's looking at MJ and he's seeing what she's texting or seeing what they're looking at, stuff like that. And then like the Edith classes just felt as if like I don't know if you know what a MacGuffin is.
I've heard that before.
A MacGuffin is basically a thing that is like the main plot of a story. Yes. But you don't know what it is.
Yes. Yeah.
It felt MacGuffin like. It's not a MacGuffin because we know what it is, but like it felt as if like this has been a huge part of the movie, the story, but I felt like it was like a weak part of the story. Got you. So how do you feel about like the characters' chemistries and all of that stuff? Oh yes. Well, we have to bring up Zendaya. Yes. Because Zendaya does an amazing job with her character and what she brings with the awkwardness of her character in Mary Jane. And so that being said, the chemistry is amazing between Tom Holland and her,
and they're dating,
and they're also dating. So I guess it's something to be said. but like their chemistry is amazing.
It is.
And but what I like is that apart from their chemistry, each actor brings to the character just the right amount of their characters.
Yeah.
MJ with Zendaya, she brings a wonderful part of the character. Same thing with Tom Holland. So that's kind of just my thoughts.
Yeah. With I agree with you that movie, the both Homecoming, Far From Home, super fun movies. Like if they were on TV, I would watch them. Specifically visually, like visually alone, that movie is stunning. Whatever.
Right.
I love the second one way better than the first one. You said you like the first one better than the second one.
I did.
I like the second one better than the first one, but I think only because of visuals. But anyway, so all that to say, yeah, cool. Tom Holland, he was a cool Peter Parker. Oh, what I was gonna say, I feel like one thing I truly appreciate about Tom Holland's Peter Parker, they really emphasize his genius. Toby's, they emphasize his nerd. He's invisible, not seen, and whatever nerdy. Yeah. I don't think they really emphasize his genius, like his intellect.
A little bit. They did
a little bit.
The Doc Ock version.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he was going back and forth in that conversation about when Doc Ock's goal to have renewable resources for the city.
Yes.
And Peter, like, he was keeping up very well.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree. With Andrew Garfield, they once in a while they will show.
Well, they did. They did at one point, which I thought was a good scene, where he came up with the formula for Dr. Connors.
Yes. Yeah.
And so what I liked about that was that everything that followed with Dr. Connors turning into the big lizard and everything was Andrew Garfield's fault. It was his Peter Parker's fault.
Yeah.
What I don't think they handled well was his remorse towards that.
Oh yeah, I agree.
He acknowledged it, but they didn't he wasn't it didn't show his remorse.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I think out of all three Peter Parkers, I definitely think Tom Holland, because there was a scene when Happy, it was Far From Home when they were on the plane.
Yes.
And Happy saw him as Iron Man, when he was enlarging the images and all of that stuff. Yes. And he was telling, I think Edith, hey, put this, he was customizing his Spider-Man, suit. And so I don't know, I just think Tom Holland, they really emphasized his genius.
Yeah.
From not only as Spider-Man, but as Peter Parker. He was in the math championship thingy, whatever they called math club or whatever. So throughout the whole film, they really, really emphasized that Peter Parker / Spider-Man, Tom Holland's version, he's a genius.
Yep.
So I really, truly appreciate that. And no, that's Spider-Man. So speaking of Spider-Man, because I really want to get to Spider-Man. Clearly,
yes.
Who is the best Spider-Man?